Now, before we get started, I would really love if you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can get the latest content from the YouTube channel, The Last Rewind. And don't be shy about leaving your comments at the bottom of the page because you are the sole reason why this channel will be successful. Thank you. Hello, welcome back to The Last Rewind. And before we get to today's topic, make sure you like and subscribe so you can get the notifications for new episodes that's going to pop up each week. And we like to thank the other subscribers that have come on and liked and subscribed and for supporting us through this journey. So we're about to get into a story. Probably not going to get overwhelming a lot of positivity probably for because it divides a lot of people down the middle. The Angela Reese controversy. Player of the LSU Tigers. Recently, he just lost to the Iowa Hawkeyes with Caitlyn Clark scoring 41 points. They played them in the Elite Eight, lost 94-87. A spectacular performance by Caitlyn Clark. And Angela Reese and Caitlyn Clark, I'll have to say, have put women's college basketball on the map because of their rivalry. Caitlyn Clark, outstanding player. Angela Reese, she's an outstanding player. I'll have to give the nod to Caitlyn Clark on this as being the better player. Angela Reese is a good player in her own right, but she seems to get a lot of her fame, not all of it, from her antics, where she quote unquote plays the villain role. And she seems to have accepted a lot of things that have happened with her off the court and on the court has drawn the ire of a lot of the teams that are not rooting for the LSU Tigers. I should say that. And now it's gotten to the point where it seems to have turned into a black and white issue. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like there's not a certain demographic that don't cheer for Caitlyn Clark because she's white and cheer for Angela Reese because she's black. But I like just watching good basketball. And, men's or women's basketball, football, whatever. You're a good player, you're a good player. I'll cheer for you. I like Larry Bird. And it has nothing to do because he's white. I mean, a little bit. But he's a great player. And if he wasn't a great player, I'm not cheering for him. Like Michael Jordan. I like Kobe Bryant. If they weren't good players, I don't care what color they are, I'm not cheering for them. But it has kind of turned into, and maybe this is a good thing for women's basketball, college basketball, because maybe this is the jolt of energy it needs for people to pay attention to them. This happened in the 70s between Magic and Bird. A more tumultuous time with race relations than I think there is today. But people did pick a side. Bird in Indiana, Magic Johnson at Michigan State. They loved the players, but they did side with them. I don't know what position, not what percentage did side with them because of race, but it was a big amount. And they followed them to the NBA game, to where they joined the Celtics and the Lakers. And a lot of people would tell you the Celtics and the Lakers were about race. But as you hear later on, when people do interviews and talk about how people felt about Larry Bird and how he used to bust up their favorite player, it's like, that's a bad white boy. And then all of a sudden it transcended race. It's because he was a great player. It was no longer about who hated each other or who hated what side. It's because he was a great player. And they would say the same thing about Magic Johnson. I don't care if he's black or white, he was a great player. Wish this is what we were talking about with Caitlyn Clark and Angela Reese. It's because they're both great players, not because of the color of their skin. But unfortunately, and somewhat fortunately for ratings, this is where we're at. I don't know if this is going to transcend over to the WNBA when they go, because Angela Reese has just said she's declared herself for the draft. I think Caitlyn Clark has to go. I think this is her last year. We'll see how that goes when they get there. Hopefully their talent goes to the college game, because you can't just live off of hype forever. But I want to focus a little bit more on Angela Reese, because there's been people going at her about her comments during a press conference after they lost to Iowa. And a lot of people didn't take it too kindly, because they felt like she was trying to cop out for playing the victim role. Even the guy that's on, I don't know, Speak Your Mind on Fox Sports, Acho, he had a few things he had to say about her. I'll play that in a little bit. But first, I'm going to play what Angela Reese had to say about her year, especially after winning the championship last year, what she's had to deal with.
I don't really get to stand up for myself. I mean, I have great teammates. I have a great support system. I got my hometown. I got my family that stands up for me. I don't really get to speak out on things just because I just try to ignore, and I just try to stand strong. Like, I've been through so much. I've seen so much. I've been attacked so many times. Death threats. I've been sexualized. I've been threatened. I've been so many things, and I've stood strong every single time. And I just try to stand strong for my teammates, because I don't want them to see me down and like not be there for them. So I just want to always just know, like, I'm still a human. Like, all this has happened since I won the national championship, and I said the other day, I haven't had peace since then. And it sucks, but I still wouldn't change. I wouldn't change anything, and I would still sit here and say, like, I'm unapologetically me. I'm going to always leave that mark and be who I am and stand on that. And hopefully the little girls that look up to me, and hopefully I give them some type of inspiration that, hopefully it's not this hard and all the things that come at you, but keep being who you are. Keep waking up every day. Keep being motivated, staying who you are, staying 10 toes, don't back down, and just be confident.
Okay, there you have to hear what she had to say. Now, first off, let me say, I don't want to stomp on anything what she had to say as far as how she's been feeling. I'm not denying what she's felt. Maybe she has felt bad for how people have came off to her and treated her badly because of her antics, or just the way she plays on the court, or even because she's Black. I don't think it's mainly because she's Black. I really don't. I do think there's a component in there. I don't know how big of a component, but mainly I think it's her antics. And this is the difficult part, because women a lot of times in these sports arenas want to have the same treatment as men. They want equal opportunity and equal outcome. But then we have to be a little bit lighter with women with how we treat them versus how we treat our NBA male athletes, because there are other players just like her that go through the same thing, but they don't, go on a podium and say, hey, this year's been hard and I had to go through all this, whatever. I wish people would just leave me alone. If that is the case that you're going through, you've been stressed out, you have anxiety and all this, I feel sorry for you. I don't want you to go through any of this stuff. But you can't also bring it on to yourself too. You can't say, I want to play the villain role, and people can say whatever they want to say. I don't care. Well, I'm going to listen to that. I'm going to hear, not me personally, but people are going to hear that. They're like, oh, she doesn't care. So I can say anything I want. I can do anything I want, and I can get away with it. And let's just be clear. The world's not perfect. Everyone's not a good person. But if you open your door up to the bad people out here and say you don't care, then they're going to act on it. You say you've been, labeled as the villain. You said you openly accepted it. So people are going to treat you like the villain. You say you've been sexualized. You're free to do with your body what you want. But the outcome may not be what you want. If you pose in half-naked clothes, people are not going to look at these half-naked pictures and wonder what your credit score is or what your favorite movie is. They're going to sexualize you. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. And then some people are going to over-sexualize you, and those are the people who go too far. And I'm not apologizing for them, because there are horrible people who go as far as, because I've heard people have used AI to impose your head, I guess, on other people's sexual bodies or whatever. I don't know, it's pornographic material, I don't know. So I'm not apologizing for those people. So there are horrible people, and there are people who are going to cross the line. But you don't leave your gold nugget on the porch and hope somebody doesn't steal it overnight. You protect it. You keep it in a safe place. I'm offering this as advice. You say you are unapologetically you and you wouldn't change a thing. I hate people who say that. And I know she's young, but hey, you got to learn. And you got to learn at some point. You got to change at some point. Everybody has to change at some point, hopefully for the good. And there's so many things I've changed with in my 20s and 30s. And I go back and look and like, man, I said I would never change. I was a stubborn fool, because I put myself in danger, because I didn't know what was going on, but people tried to give me advice. But I would say I would never change, and not knowing that I was harming myself by being stubborn and staying the way I was at the time. So be open to change. I hate when people say, oh, I'm unapologetically me. Unless you are doing anyone no harm, then okay, I guess I understand. But always be open to look at things you can change about yourself if it's for the greater good. But you've got to protect yourself. I'm not saying what the people are saying about you is right, but you still have to protect yourself at some point. Okay? Because no one is out there saying Caitlyn Clark is over-sexualized or is being sexualized because she's not showing herself in a certain way. Now, of course, I know people are going to come and say, well, Caitlyn Clark has done some things to the crowd, the "you can't see me" sign or whatever, and no one came down as hard. There's some people that came down on her, but of course not as hard. But Caitlyn Clark wasn't really menacing with it as much as Angela Reese. Angela Reese went overboard with it, and putting her crown and stuff on somebody's chair, signifying that she's the queen and stuff. You can do that, but just be prepared that someone's going to criticize you for it later on. Social media, if people are saying horrible things to you on social media and you can't take it, that's fine. Turn it off or block the comments. It's really easy. But the thing is, people want to hear so many of the good comments. And the thing is, I bet you she's probably had so much support. She's probably had support at a rate of 9 to 10. But it's the 1 to 10 that she's going to focus on, and that really hits her at her heart. You're going to have to accept that. If you're going to be open to criticism, or you're going to be open to praise, you got to accept the criticism as well. I have to accept the criticism as well, or I just don't give a damn about either one of it. Either I'm whole without the criticism and the adulation, or I can be taken down by both sides. This is just advice I'm giving. You don't have to take it, and you probably don't give a crap. It comes from me. I feel sorry for you. I'm also trying to make sure you're protected next time this thing happens. Because as I mentioned before, you're not the only one who goes through these type of things. But there's people who have tough skin, and there's people who don't. Maybe you don't have the tough skin to deal with this. The people I'll mention, Draymond Green, we just did a video about him. He plays the villain role all the time. People criticize him all the time. So it's not a sexist thing. It's not a men versus women thing. Men do it all the time, and no, they don't get praise all the time. People hate Draymond Green who are not the fans of the Golden State Warriors. People who are not a Golden State Warrior fan, they're thinking, man, he should have been out the league. He should have been kicked out of the league. People weren't fans of his, what he did to LeBron James during the year, I think it was 2015, where they played the Warriors and he got kicked out. Then he got suspended the next game, and then they lost one of the most epic losses ever in the finals, or they were up 3-1 and then they lost. People are mad at Draymond. And they don't want to hear, oh, I had a tough year, or my girl broke up with me, or I had family issue as a child. They don't want to hear that. They want you to act right in public. And the thing is, those things may have affected him. But you are also, no matter what has happened in your life, you are also in charge of your actions. And you must face accountability, and you must be culpable for those actions. This is why there's a thing called crime of passion. You can't just go and kill somebody. I guess no, I don't think you can. There's a thing called crime of passion where somebody can walk in and see their wife messing around with them, and then they commit the act against them, and they say, well, I flew into a jealous rage. They don't care. You're going to prison. They don't care what your reason is. You're still in charge of your actions. I was about to say, do people actually get off of that? But I don't know. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong on that. But overwhelmingly, I don't think people get off for crime of passion. And again, I don't want to compare it to say she committed a crime. I'm just saying, if you're going to open yourself up to be in the role of a villain, then you got to be open to accept criticism, because that's what villains do. Villains are bad people, and people don't like villains. You don't have to be a villain. You don't have to be. There's the other side to it. You can be a good person. You don't have to play that role. Because let me mention the other people. I said Draymond Green, Dennis Rodman. People didn't like Dennis Rodman like that. They only liked Dennis Rodman because he was on the Bulls. Or if you were a Detroit Pistons fan during the Bad Boy Day, then you like Dennis Rodman. But if you were an opponent of the Bulls, you didn't like Dennis Rodman. And as I said in the last video, if your talent wasn't worth your trouble, they're kicking you out of the league. It's true of any place. Football, basketball, it's true. When Dennis Rodman left the Bulls and he had his short stint with the Lakers and his short stint with the Mavs, he kept acting up, but his talent was gone and he wasn't worth it anymore. Hell, even when his talent was still great with the Spurs, I think he was there for 1 year, if that. Bulls, luckily enough, they had the managing style of Jordan, Phil Jackson, and Pippen, and other veterans on the team to be able to handle him as much as they could. He still acted up, but his talent was still good enough that he stayed there for 3 years and got them 3 rings. Angela Reese, you have to make a decision when you go to the WNBA. Are teams going to keep you on their team with your antics once your talent starts to fade away? Hopefully, like I said, your talent will transcend from the college game to the WNBA. Hopefully it will. You have to make that decision. Will I have a longer career without playing the victim and having good talent to average talent, or can I play the victim, and as soon as my talent drops off, I'm out of here? But one thing I will say, and I think this is also why she is playing the victim role. This is why a lot of people do it. Not the victim role, I'm sorry, the villain role. Markability. Nobody likes the nice person. Unless your talent is that great, like you are a superstar, like you're LeBron, like you're Jordan, like you're Magic. Nobody likes the super nice guy or super nice girl. So you got to do something to stand out. LeVar Ball, not calling him a bad person, but he was very outlandish with his personality and his opinions, and he stood out, and he got his sons to stand out once they were getting ready to be drafted to the NBA. And Angela Reese, I think that's going to help people pay attention to her more, and she'll get a higher draft and therefore probably get higher pay, even though it's not going to be that much pay, being that she's going to the WNBA. And maybe that's the thing. I don't know. But the other persons I was going to mention was because people are going to also make it about a race thing because she's black. Maybe that's why they're coming down on her. Bill Laimbeer was white. People hated him. People still hate him to this day. People hate him over Rodney. And he was like, oh, that's a long time ago. Look how they played back then. Okay, I'll give you another one. Grayson Allen. People can't stand Grayson Allen. Unless he's on your team, people cannot stand Grayson Allen. He plays the role of villain, and he plays it well. People can't stand him, though. And if he were to show up and saying people, picked on him and they were sexualizing him and they were threatening him and stuff like that, there'd probably be quite a few people that'd be like, we don't care. Stop acting like a dumbass.
Acho, cater your take based upon gender. Acho, cater your take based upon race. I will understand that. But I'm about to give a gender-neutral, racially indifferent take. Angel Reese, you can't beat a big bad wolf, but then kind of cry like Courage the Cowardly Dog. Because if you want to act grown, which she has, if you want to get paid like you grown, which you are, if you want to talk to grown folks like you grown, which you did post-game when you told a coach for an opposing team, watch your mouth. If you want to tell people, get your money up, then post-game when you take an L, you just got to take it on the chin. Nobody mourns when the villain catches an L. And Angel Reese, you have self-proclaimed to be the villain. Shout out to you because you were the second best basketball player on the court and it was not close. Outside of Caitlyn Clark, it was you. 17 and 20, dog. Showed up, biggest game, second biggest game of your career. Absolute dog, but you can't under any circumstance go to the podium and now try to ask for individuals to give you sympathy. No one has sympathy for the villain. You painted the bullseye on your back. Why are you surprised when people shoot at you?
Did Acho come down a little too hard on her? I don't think he came down too hard on her. He just wants her to accept responsibility for how some of these people are coming at her. Again, point up here, she does not deserve death threats. No one deserves death threats for playing basketball, even if they play basketball roughly. Even if they play basketball like the Detroit Pistons bad boys did back in their heyday. No one deserves death threats, not over a sport, not over an orange spiel. No one does. And maybe Acho should have shown more grace to Angela Reese. But if we're going to show grace to Angela Reese, then we can't compare you guys or you women to men in men's sports. Maybe that's the problem. We have to be soft with you guys because she's not the only one. There's other female athletes that have come out and said that, they're dealing with a lot of stress, like anxiety, and they don't like the same criticism that the men get. And the men get it, I'm telling you. And the men take it with no problem. Pause. But you say you want to be treated the same way. So maybe we got to take a step back as journalists and be like, okay, just take it easy. Let's take it easy on her because she's not going to be able to handle the same criticism like the men get. If that's the case, let us know. And we'll go soft on you. But you can't be put in the same arena as guys if that's the case. You can't. I'm just saying. You need to tell us that. You're going to play these roles, be prepared for the criticism.
What more do you want from me?
This has been The Last Rewind. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, and I will see you on the next episode. Peace.